Okay, so now let's talk more about the trading for Nigeria. Nigeria stock market, it will be open for trading tomorrow, but this time we're taking our focus on consumer goods stocks. Well, most of the companies that are listed on the NGX are still reporting the full year 2024 earnings season. Yes, we've done and dusted with the Q1, but the Q1 results are expected to be released sometime later in this new month of April and towards the tail end. So we can't talk more about that. We'd only be looking at the FY 2024 numbers, particularly from some key components of that. We have Bua Foods, which released its full year results. We also have Unilever, we have PZ Cussons, and we can also talk more about Nestle for their performance within the first quarter, within the full year of 2024. But to give us details about that, let's bring in Nathaniel Disu. He's an investment research analyst with AfriInvest West Africa. Hello, Anita. Yeah, nice to see you here. Yeah, good to be back again. Yeah, I would say Happy New Year because last time I saw you was sometime last year. Last year. Okay. So now let me start first with it's a behemoth among the Bua group. We have Bua Cement, but this time we're talking about Bua Foods, which reported very, very impressive record-breaking results in its 2024 financial performance. I know that the revenue, it was up by about more than 109% at about 1.53 trillion naira. Quite huge. What was attributed to this in spite of the food crisis that we have in Nigeria, the seeming food crisis that we have in Nigeria? Okay, yeah, like you said, Bua Foods reported 1.5 trillion naira as in their revenue, and that's the first time that this company would record that will cross the 1 trillion naira mark in terms of the revenue. And one of the two major components that make up Bua Foods is the sugar segment and the flour segment, and these are the major drivers in revenue. Like the sugar segment, one of the interesting things about there is that for the past couple of years, Bua Foods, in terms of the sugar segment, they've been kind of battling with the Dangote sugar in terms of who will become the market leader. But from the data that we have now, we've seen that Bua Foods has now become the new market leader in terms of revenue generated. And one of the key things that Bua is doing in terms of driving up revenue, especially for the sugar segment, is focusing more on the B2B segment. If you look at the sugar components in terms of the wholesale part and also in terms of the retail part, you can see that retail part is kind of getting more traction in terms of both. So that's why the fact that they're still focusing on the B2C market, they're also optimizing the B2B market, and that's one of the things that is driving up revenue. And also another thing that drove up revenue is that Bua Foods is kind of, when we talk about football would always say that attack is the best form of defense. So despite the fact that the macroeconomic dynamics is still affecting Bua and other consumer goods, Bua is increasing more in terms of marketing. If you look at their numbers, in 2023 full year, they spent about 30 billion naira in terms of marketing, selling, distribution. But in 2024, they spent 40 billion. So they are kind of being more aggressive in terms of their marketing, in terms of their distribution, and it's no surprise that we're seeing it play out in their revenue. So besides revenue, gross profit was up by 107.9%. Yeah. Profit after tax also very impressive, 145.3%, while earnings per share also climbed by about 145.3%. And I know that the company has also announced dividend payments. Yeah. That's for Bua Food. So let's talk about another consumer goods behemoth. Yeah. Now, let's analyze Unilever earnings. So Unilever, one of the things, Unilever is one of the companies that has been kind of stable in the past year, despite the fact that the major macroeconomic challenges in terms of FX crisis. Bua Foods, Unilever has not really been that affected, and that's one of the reasons why is that they are using more of local sourcing of the raw materials. 100% of the raw materials is locally sourced, so that's helping to optimize that. And also, in late 2023, we see Unilever break off from the home care segment part of their business, so that has also helped to make their financials to be more stable. But one concerning thing about Unilever that we saw in their audited financials is that in terms of their operating profits, it's
kind of declined. But if you look at the overall profit after tax, there was significant growth, and that is due to the losses that was incurred in the home care segment. So if we remove the finance cost part and we focus on the core business operation, we could see that Unilever is still a little bit struggling in terms of their operating profit. So that's one of the things that the company should look out for.
Okay, so now I'd like to talk more about some other, but I think you can add that to this question that I'll be giving you. These are consumer goods sector components, and when you look at the consumer goods sector components, or the consumer goods sector in particular, what would you say about their performance in the first quarter of this year?
So for the first quarter of this year, one of the things that would be looking at closely in terms of, because if you look at long time ago in the past, consumer goods companies have not really struggled in terms of revenue. So despite the fact that the consumer wallet is declining, consumer goods company has always been doing well in terms of revenue generation. So they've never struggled. Where their main focus or where their challenges have become is in terms of cost of sales, raw material costs, and also FX challenges. And this has been one of the things that we would look at in terms of Q1 is their cost of sales, because based on the macroeconomic dynamics, inflation is already moderating. So that could also play out in their cost of sales. So we're expecting that we would see a kind of moderation in their cost of sales for general consumer goods companies.
Yeah. Well, Nathaniel, I think I'll have to let you go. We can spend much time talking about many of the components and the impact, but now I think we'll go with your analysis and also look out to how they would perform in the second quarter, because they've done and dusted with the first quarter. But thank you so much for your analysis on the show, and get to see you next time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anita.